Welcome back to the Week Low Podcast, and I'm your host, Owen, and this week we're going to be going through game by game of the Week 2 NFL against the spread game predictions, not including Thursday Night Football games. All of my numbers are thanks to BetOnline.com, where I do all of my sports booking, not sponsored, just love the website, and that's what I'm using for my spreads and things like that. This is my third time trying to record this, so let's just hop right into it, and I'm going to give you all my picks with the spreads. First up, New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers. Saints are a 3.5-point favorite. I'm going to stick with the favorite there. I don't think the Panthers offense is as good as the Packers offense, and the Saints defense looked immaculate last week, especially from rookie Paulson Adebo, covering up that second cornerback slot. Even if Marshawn Lattimore is hurt, he can come in and play. I've only gone through this first pick this past two recordings, so not much. I've said this like 3 times, so I'm just retreading on myself that you guys are never going to hear, but New Orleans Saints, minus 3.5, that's going to be a bet for that game. Next up, Houston Texans are 13-point underdogs against the Cleveland Browns. I'm inclined to go with the points here. I don't think that the Browns are going to be able to cover 13, just because they play a very ground control, time clock heavy game, and they're going to eat up the clock a lot. It's going to be a lot of long 10-drive plays that are sustained because the Texans defense isn't as good as the Browns offense talent-wise, but it's still going to be heavily in the run, burning a lot of clock, and I don't think that the Browns are going to have a lot of time to score, run up the score against the Texans there. So I always just like to tend to go with the super large spreads, which besides like one game in this week, but we'll get to that. -1 +1 Chicago Bears, Cincinnati Bengals, a pick'em. I'm going to buck the trend a lot of people are going with. I'm going to take the Bears. The Bengals struggled to protect Joe Burrow against the Vikings defense, and the Bears defense is much better than the Vikings defense, in my opinion, especially with the pass rush and Khalil Mack and everything like that. So I think that if they can keep Joe Burrow off balance and struggling to stay clean in the pocket, that Andy Dalton with a revenge game and, coming back in to Cincinnati, I think he can come in and take the win for them and keep himself from going 0-2. So the next game I have up on here is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Atlanta Falcons, with Tampa Bay being 12.5-point favorites, which this is the one time I will take the points. The Buccaneers defense wasn't as impressive as we thought it would be, coming off their Super Bowl win against the Cowboys, but the Falcons offense surprisingly underwhelmed against a much weaker Philadelphia defense than the Bucs have. Plus, the Bucs offense is just as good as it was last year. It's firing on all cylinders. The Falcons' main problem right now is still on their defense, especially in the secondary. So I think the Bucs will be able to put up a lot of points, and the Falcons are going to continue to struggle to score. And this is the last time, or this is the only time I would think I would take that big of a point spread in a game, especially this week where there's been a couple of them. There might be one more later in this episode, but we'll see when I get there. I'll be in a couple picks. Next up, I'm taking the Seahawks -6.5 against the Tennessee Titans. I have been one of the biggest Titans detractors this entire offseason. They lost their entire secondary, which was a weakness. So, obviously you're not losing that big of you're not losing that much talent. But of the guys they cut their better players from the secondary. So everyone was saying that they're going to be this really good team, be a playoff contender, a dark horse Super Bowl contender, and they go out there and they get shellacked by Arizona, who has a great passing offense. You know who else has a great passing offense? Seattle. So there's going to be even more points scored up against this Tennessee Titans defense. I don't have any faith in the secondary. Caleb Farley's continued to have issues with injuries. Christian Fulton hasn't really shown anything to be a starter. Janoris Jenkins is Janoris Jenkins. All they really have is safety Kevin Byard, and that can't really hold them all together. So the Seahawks are going to be able to pass all over them. Derrick Henry might have a better week this week, but Jordan Brooks is coming together, and Bobby Wagner are coming together as linebackers, really good run stuffers. And that D-line is underrated, being able to put a lot of pressure on the Indianapolis Colts. So I think the Colts' offensive line is better than the Titans' offensive line, and they had trouble with the Seahawks' pass rush last week. So I have no faith in Titans being able to keep this a close game. I think it's definitely take this one for the touchdown difference. I'm going to take another favorite in the next one, which is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers -3 against the Dallas Cowboys. The Chargers just won against one of the best, in my opinion, the best defense coming into the season in the league with the Washington football team. And the Chargers were able to put up 20 and beat them despite them being an elite defense. Dallas, the absolute opposite of an elite defense. They have a great offense, but the Chargers defense is no slouch. Even though they were able to carve up a pretty good Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense last week, I think that the Cowboys, even with the extra days of rest, aren't going to be able to outscore the Chargers. It's going to be a huge scoring match, and what's going to come down to is which defense can make the last stop. And I have more faith that the Chargers defense can stop the Cowboys than the Cowboys defense can stop the Chargers. So it's going to be a battle of touchdowns, and I think this field goal differential, I think the Chargers will be able to cover that easily. It'll probably be a winning difference of like 6 to 8. And it's going to come down to who can score the last touchdown kind of thing. I can envision this game being the Cowboys making a drive, try to score down 8, try to score and get a 2-point conversion and get stopped inside like the red zone kind of thing. But yeah, I trust in Brandon Staley more than Mike McCarthy. I have a trust in this defense to make stops more than I have to trust in Dallas Cowboys defense. And even though the Cowboys offense might be better, I think the Chargers offensive line may actually be better than the Cowboys. They haven't been the same since Travis Frederick has been gone. Tyron Smith is older. I just think the Chargers are an overall better team. Amazingly easy lock for this one. We have the Chiefs minus 3.5 over the Ravens. The Chiefs have consistently destroyed the Ravens every time they played them, and this is a hobbled Ravens team with no running backs, and the Chiefs have just looked better than ever, especially when they've beaten one of their other top AFC contenders in the Browns. I don't think this game's going to be even close remotely, and the fact that the line is 3.5 here on BetOnline is kind of ridiculous. I think that the Ravens defense, especially without having top corner Marcus Peters, I believe that's one who got hurt. You lost Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and J.K. Dobbins. You have all these players who've gone down. I don't think that their defense is going to be able to hold back the Kansas City offense, and their running game is what they usually hang their hat on to win games. And I don't think that this Kansas City Chiefs defense, who has some really good corners on Jarius Sneed and Tyrann Mathieu, is going to be coming back hopefully soon. And I just don't think there's any way this is going to be within 3.5 points. And finally, I'm going to take the points here with the Lions being down 12. So I'm going to take the Lions plus 12 against the Packers. The Packers are going to be pissed off, and it's a divisional rival. They constantly dominate. But this Lions team is tough, and they kept it close with San Fran last week, who is a team that is probably near the same level as the Packers, as talent-wise and as a good of a team-wise. So I think that the Lions will be able to keep it close despite the Packers being pissed off. I think there's just something wrong with the Packers. They're not clicking right. They probably won't win this game, but I think 12 is just too rich of a point spread to be able for me to take it. I wouldn't take this on a betting card, but if doing this episode and having to pick, I would probably take the points. And those are all my betting lines for this week's NFL action, thanks to BetOnline's spreads. And I'm going to have this posted up probably Saturday night, and then Sunday morning, everyone can come check it out. And then I'm going to do a weekend review for next week's episode of the podcast, and I'll go over my bets from this week and talk about each game and the storylines coming out of them. So if you're excited for that, check out Spotify and other podcast areas like that. We usually have the episodes coming out sooner than that than on YouTube, just because there's a lot of other working pieces for YouTube and things like that with thumbnails and all the such. But with Spotify, it's pretty easy. Just upload the audio. So check for there if you haven't yet. And if anything, come back on YouTube. It'll be up eventually. Thumbnails, all the same audio and everything. Sometimes we have a video, sometimes just a picture. But make sure if you do check it out on YouTube, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're almost at the 100 subscribers, so pretty excited for that. And we have something planned for that. We've been planning it since we created the channel. So yeah, check out our stuff, and I'll see you later.